Welcome to The Outlet, an OTG production.
What's up, NBA fans? Welcome to another edition of The Outlet. And with me, as always, Parth.
What's going on, Nick?
Same old Parth. I'm ready to get into these rankings. If you guys didn't know, number 30 came in Philadelphia 76ers. These are my rankings, and the next team is the Denver Nuggets at 29. Before we talk about the rankings, we want to show you one clip of the Nuggets from last season.
This is one of my favorite clips of the Nuggets from last year. Another one is Gary Harris dunking in, I think, his NBA debut, and his mom misses the dunk. But with this clip, Nurkic just powers through Morris, hands him the ball. I think Denver needs more of that type of swagger next season.
Definitely. I mean, I love Nurkic. It's funny. Usually European big men are kind of soft, but he came in. He's physical. He's shown he's not scared of anyone. And like you said, he's got some swagger. The Nuggets definitely could use a little bit of that this upcoming season.
Yeah, of course you don't want that tech, but sometimes technical fouls can fire up a team. And I think that the Denver Nuggets needed some more techs last season.
Exactly. They needed some more energy, show they cared. But let's get into the rankings. Do you think this is a fair rankings for the Nuggets?
Now, this is when I like to point out that these are your rankings and not mine, because I'm a little higher on the Nuggets than you are. I think they have good returners and had a decent enough offseason to make them better than the 29th ranked team.
Yeah, I mean, the one reason I have them ranked so low is they have a couple guys who are always getting injured, so they're not guaranteed to play for the whole season, like Gallinari. Nurkic was injured last season. And then, I mean, they tried away probably their best player, Ty Lawson, who led them in points per game, assists, steals, and minutes per game. Not to mention, he was one of the best players in the league in assist and turnover ratio, just behind Chris Paul.
Okay, that's fair. I can see that, but I still think that they'll be better than the 29th ranked team.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely have the potential to be higher, but I just feel like I'll rank them low because there's always that potential. Gallinari having another knee injury, or Emmanuel not just fitting in as well as people have hoped. Next we're going to talk about is the key returners for the Nuggets and their offseason moves. So returning players, we have Gallinari, Chandler, Fareed, Nurkic, Barton. Which guys do you think needs to have a big season for the Nuggets?
I think, well, of course, Yusuf Nurkic is their prized possession at this point. They're really high on him, but I think Wilson Chandler is someone who can have a big season for them. He's very versatile on the wing, can post up a little bit, can shoot the ball, athletic.
I like Chandler as well. I mean, and they re-signed him for a great deal, and upon probably being maybe their most versatile player, and he can come in and he actually plays a lot. He's consistent. He's a great asset to have. A team looking for a wing player at the deadline. He has a favorable deal. They could definitely start gathering assets. So I definitely like Chandler, especially on the contract he resigned this season.
Also, Gallinari is always an X factor for whichever team he plays for. He has the skills to be probably a fringe all-star type of player.
Exactly.
Injuries have hurt him, but he's a good playmaker. He can shoot the ball, can dribble, post up a little bit, versatile, polished scorer.
Yeah, Gallinari will destroy my rankings if he actually plays the whole season, because he's good enough to make them a lot higher than 29. Just like you said, he's offensively talented. He's a fringe all-star player. And when he's healthy, he's performed. At the end of last season, he came and played well, but I'm not willing to bet on him with his injury history.
Right, he does have a lot of knee issues. Didn't he tear his ACL and then opted not to get surgery and then had to miss another season? So like 2 full seasons or something around something like that.
Yeah. Definitely there was something. I don't know if he did decide to not do the knee surgery, but something along those lines where he missed a season and then another whole season because of what he decided to do. So
yeah, that's a little scary and nerve-wracking for Denver fans.
So let's move on to the offseason moves. Obviously, they didn't really do anything crazy, but they did trade away arguably their best player, Ty Lawson.
Yeah, that Ty Lawson move, I feel like it had to happen with the drafting of Emmanuel Mudiay, but that whole Ty Lawson alcohol deal, it's kind of scary to know that someone, knowing that they could get in trouble for this, just does stuff anyway.
Exactly. I mean, he had the potential to ruin his NBA career. Luckily, the Rockets were willing to take a chance on him. It would help the Nuggets if they traded him sooner, but who they wouldn't have known. He was already in descending value. So I think they got a first-round pick. They got Nick Johnson and then some guys that they waived away. Nick Johnson maybe could be a good rotation player, and obviously everyone loves first-round picks.
Nick Johnson's athletic, man. He is an athlete. Jumps out of the gym.
And he plays hard defense. He uses
Right.
athleticism on D, so he might not be a great perimeter defender at this time, but he's willing to work hard. Can't
It's
complain.
great. So I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You can't complain about a player like that. So
Yeah, it's crazy to think that Lawson's stock fell so dramatically. Just a year ago, or even a little over a year ago at this time, he was considered arguably a top 10 point guard in the league.
He's got a
Yes.
great skill set. He's a playmaker. He averaged, I think, over 9 assists last season. He's one of the fastest players in the NBA, so he definitely can instantly add some value. I want to say at the trade deadline they would have got a better deal for him than they got just recently. So
Right.
they probably wish they pulled the trigger back then.
It felt like the Nuggets were trying to trade everyone at the trade deadline. Like
It really did. Chandler was on the block, I think. There was even some rumors about Fareed and then
Yeah.
Gallinari. So
they moved Aaron Aflalo, got some good picks from Portland, and now he's in New York. So definitely worked out for Denver there.
exactly. Yeah, they got some good value. His career looks on the decline, but who knows? Maybe he'll bounce back this year.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
One thing we didn't mention is the coaching change. I mean, they went from Brian Shaw last season, who they fired. He couldn't control the team. They're using cell phones during practice. They had Melvin Hunnan as an interim coach, who I thought did a pretty good job. I thought he might have even been the head coach this year, but they went with Mike Malone. How do you feel about that?
I'm happy Mike Malone's back in the league after what Sacramento did to him, which made no sense to really anyone outside of the organization.
Yeah, I don't even think it made sense to most of the people in the organization other than the owner, because I thought he was doing a great job. You can't blame him when DeMarcus Cousins has to go into the hospital and he misses, 10 games? And they lose those games. It's not his fault. It's your best player, and your team pretty much revolved around him. So
the one thing, it's kind of alarming that I think it was KG who said the Nuggets were losers last year for quitting on Brian Shaw. It's kind of alarming for fans that a team would just up and quit on the coach, especially when the coach is a former player who's well respected.
Exactly. And I think it was a report came out that they were breaking huddles and they were saying like X amount of games left. So that's pretty bad. And
they
then
were ready for the offseason last year.
Exactly. And then there was a report that they were using cell phones during film room and other practices. Like, you're a professional NBA player getting paid millions of dollars. You can't put your phone away for a couple hours.
Right.
So yeah, that's kind of scary for the Nugget fans. But moving forward, what do you think's the X factor? Who's going to decide if the Nuggets have a great season or if they have a mediocre or bad season?
I think it'll be the development of Nurkic. I think he's in the NBA. Low post centers are rare to find nowadays, especially big bruisers, and Nurkic is definitely that. He held his own against DeMarcus Cousins in the couple of meetings they had last season. Of course, Cousins kind of drew a ton of fouls on Nurkic, but he played. He wasn't scared. He played face to face against them, and I think his development to a legitimate offensive threat will help determine the Nuggets' fortunes next season.
A 7-footer is a big deal in the NBA. Like you said, he's not scared of people. He had a couple nice games. He was willing to compete with Cousins and other big men in the NBA. So he just didn't come back as good from his injury as he originally did. So that worries me a touch. But I'm going to go with X Factor as Emmanuel Mudiay, just because either Mudiay is going to come in and have a Rookie of the Year type of season, or he's going to struggle because the Nuggets lack the talent to set him up for an easy first year. So he kind of, for me, influences if the Nuggets are going to be a mediocre bad team or if they're going to be a terrible team and finish in the bottom of the league.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Mudiay, I would say, just the only thing that scares me a little bit is his shooting, because he shot 38% in summer league and 14% from three. So I think that hurts you in the NBA just because everyone's so fast and they can take 5 feet off you. It's going to hurt your game.
Right. I was about to mention that. I really do like his game. He played really well in the summer league. Looked like the best guard out of this draft class. But as we saw with the Dallas Mavericks last season and Rajon Rondo, how his addition and his inability to shoot really brought the Dallas Mavericks offense down from when it was like a top 5 offense to whatever it ended up being. single-handedly shut them down.
That's a perfect comparison. That's exactly what I'm thinking. I'm a big believer, and you want your point guard to be able to shoot because it makes his job a lot easier when he's coming off pick and rolls, because he's not going to be able to create if the guy who's the big man is just able to sag back and not have to worry about it, and the point guard is able to go underneath. The point guard, you need to be able to shoot in the NBA nowadays. So unless you're surrounding him with a ton of shooters, I think Moutier needs to get that jump shot going.
I think Moutier will definitely get his looks if Nurkic can be dominant in the post. I think those two will work well together.
Well, and if Gallinari and Chandler can both stay healthy and shoot the three ball at a good percentage, that always helps to spread the floor. But regardless, I think for Moutier to be a starting point guard in the NBA, he's going to need to improve his jump shot.
And one person we haven't talked much about is the Manimal, Kenneth Faried.
Yeah, very true. Faried, actually, last year, I was expecting a really big season from him after doing well in the Olympics. I mean, not in the Olympics, in USA basketball. So I was kind of disappointed. I was expecting a big season. I think he definitely needs to add some stuff to his offensive game so he can become a more complete player.
Right. He needs to be more than just an energy guy, especially being one of the better players on this team. If they want to be successful, Faried has to give them something offensively.
Yeah, he needs to add to his post game. Right now, he's almost like a supercharged role player. He's great at rebounding. He plays with a lot of energy defensively, and he can throw down about anything you throw to him in the paint. So he needs to get maybe a little bit of a jump shot and just a few post moves, in my opinion.
There were a ton of rumors this past season about after he got his extension that half of the Nuggets organization didn't really like Faried and kind of wants to move him, and so there's a little trouble in Denver. Yeah, tension, exactly.
Yes, that definitely would worry me. I know he's been in trade rumors quite a bit with all different teams. I know I've heard his name connected to the New York Knicks for a while. And I think Faried definitely needs to be paired with specific type of players. He needs a playmaker to set him up in the paint, and then he needs to play with another big man just because he's a little bit undersized. Defensively, he's not the craziest shot blocker because he's not intimidating you in the paint. He gets up, but just that size hurts you at some points if you don't have a big center, but they have Nurkic, so.
Yeah.
So with that being said, what do you think's best case scenario for the Nuggets this season?
The best case, they challenge for the 8th playoff spot. That's what I think their absolute ceiling is. But I don't think it's happening, especially with a young point guard. Moutier does have Jameer Nelson to learn from, who's a vet, very solid throughout his NBA career. But I think in the West, where everyone is just about an elite team, they won't have many games to kind of get into the flow of things like they would if they were in the East. So eighth is the highest ceiling, but it's not likely that they reach that.
Yeah, I don't see them doing that. I would actually say best case scenario is they're able to trade away Gallinari and Chandler at the deadline and pick up some assets and move towards the future, because I don't necessarily think this core is championship material, and they already have some nice pieces in Moutier and Nurkic. So build around those guys, build up your assets, and then going forward, it could really help the team. But what would you say is worst case scenario for the Nuggets?
The worst case is the injury bug strikes this team again. Gallinari goes back down, Nurkic goes back down. More injuries to, especially if Wilson Chandler and Danilo Gallinari get hurt again. You could see that same sort of scenario with Kenneth Faried
struggling,
where both of those players get their money, and then I don't know, there's a little bit of dysfunction, and those two might want to be moved and that sort of deal. So I think any sort of dysfunction for this team is the worst case scenario.
Dysfunction, it hurts the young players as well. I'm going to say injuries too, because if the players are injured, you can't trade them, and they're just going to have a bad season. There's not going to be much development because there's not going to be much talent around, so players are going to struggle. So I think for worst case would just be, like you said, Gallinari, Nurkic getting injured, or anybody else on the team. So, and now to one of our favorite things, the truth. So if you guys didn't catch it in the last show, we pick an emoji for each team thanks to Paul Pierce. This emoji is going to symbolize a plant known as cannabis, and Denver Nuggets fans are probably going to need this to watch Nugget games this season.
Yeah, well, I think the players might need some too. Hopefully, no one gets caught here.
We don't condone breaking the law, but it's
We do
legal in
not.
Colorado, so no problem there. Like you said, the players might need it after a rough season. They have a rough season like last year. And
According to you, Nick, they're definitely going to need it coming in at 29.
yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if you see a few Denver Nugget players at the cannabis dispensary. So I know, Parth, we mentioned in the last show you're getting League Pass this year for the first time.
Right.
Are you going to watch Nuggets this season?
I might watch the Nuggets every now and then. That run and gun sort of style that they play is entertaining, and they have Chandler who can throw it down, Fareed who can throw it down, Nick Johnson who, if he gets time, he can definitely throw it down. So they have some athletes that will be exciting in the open court. Will Barton's another one, and so the run and gun style is obviously everyone likes watching that. And so I may catch a couple games.
I'll probably catch a couple of games, but not for that reason. Just because the Nuggets are one of my favorite FanDuel teams. I always like playing Chandler, Gallinari. I used to love playing Ty Lawson. Nurkic is another player. Guys that you can get at a good price. I know FanDuel season didn't start yet, but just to give you guys an idea. Would you rather watch the Nuggets or watch the Kardashians?
I think I'd rather watch the Kardashians, to be honest.
Oh, you'd rather watch Keeping Up with the Kardashians over the Nuggets? I'm gonna say I hate that show, so I'll probably watch the Nuggets instead.
Can't go wrong with the Kardashians, man.
Yeah,
Can't be there.
something to look at.
It might be easier to watch them do their reality thing than watch the Nuggets play basketball.
Especially if they're
easier
turning over
on
the
the
ball
eyes.
a lot. Yeah, easy on the eyes. They foul a lot to the Nuggets, so maybe I could see your point there. To give you a hint for our next episode, it's a team that had a really rough offseason. Thanks for listening, guys. Enjoy the next show.